Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's album review. Today, we're gonna be reviewing a very familiar character on our channel. It's Kollegah. He's back with Boss Der Bosse. So we've listened to quite a few albums of Kollegah, but not this one until now. So I will share the screen with you so I can show you the songs that are on the album. Brett, can you see that, sir?
I can now, yeah.
So yeah, Boss Der Bosse. So is that the boss of the bosses? I think probably means.
Yeah.
16 tracks, 51 minutes. So a little bit shorter than I think most of the other, or probably the shortest we've listened to. Well, if he's out of the albums we've listened to, it is. What have we got on there? So quite a lot of tracks, but there's maybe a few shorter ones on there, not overly long ones, mainly about 3 minutes odd.
A few English titles as well.
Showtime again, I think that's related to the reaction video that I did on my own recently from his new album.
Okay.
It's called something like that. I think this might have been like one of the earlier versions of it, possibly. I'm sure I'll be corrected by some Kollegah fans on here if I'm wrong. Boss Der Bosse.
King of Coke, yeah.
King of Coke, is that on there? Oh yeah, King of Coke.
Number 9, King of Coke.
Yeah. So there we go. You looking forward to it, Brett?
I'm not looking forward to it. Again, we've really seen sort of what Kollegah is and all about. So again, it could surprise. There could be a few surprises in there. You know what you're getting with Kollegah, and as we've talked about a number of times, it's all about his fantastic rapping and his wording as well. But again, it's will be interesting, sort of what style of music and tunes come with that as well. And yeah, I'll probably look at try and see some of the lyrics with some of these tracks as well, and pick some of those out to get more of an understanding of how you know I feel. We'll probably even know, even with the lyrics, what sort of stuff he'll be rapping about. But it'd be interesting to see.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be interesting to see what this is about. I mean, we generally know what we get with Kollegah. I mean, although that first album we listened to, I keep referring to it, Boss Aura. That was different. That's my favorite album so far. So who knows? It may have a few surprises up its sleeve. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So we're going to go off and listen to it now, and we'll be back in a few seconds for you, having already listened to the album. So guys, we have now listened to Boss Der Bosse by Kollegah. I'm wearing a nice t-shirt as well for you. And before we go into the review, we are having a 100 subscriber Q&A special. We're up to 55 subscribers at the time of this recording. Hopefully it's more now. So if you have a question for us, please let us know in the comment section below. So get those questions coming in. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. So the album, Boss Der Bosse by Kollegah. Brett, over to you.
Okay, so I can't remember what number Kollegah album song this is here, so I'll try not to repeat so much what we've said previously in the start. As we know with Kollegah, it's all about the lyrics, it's all about his fast rapping, his clear words and the way he says things. So that's maybe, so again, it's a hard one to however, a lot of the background tunes I actually quite liked on this album. It didn't feel, in the past we've listened to some which felt a lot darker, others which felt a bit more production to it and didn't feel as authentic. But this, I think, was sort of right in the middle in terms of the tunes it was using there. So that was sort of the plus side of things there. So if I had to listen to it just without knowing the lyrics and without listening to those elements there, I'd probably quite enjoy it in terms of the music side of things. In terms of the lyrics, let's just say in the previous ones, I think one of them we had, it was mostly drug related, and maybe another one was more violence, more gun related. This one I feel is probably more derogative to women and gays, potentially, especially women. It had that sort of more feel to it, bitches and whores and hoes and stuff. But I think we'll talk about it more as we sort of probably go through each track, go from there. But I don't think I can say much more than that at these stages, really. Okay,
so for me, it had it's actually what my wife said. She doesn't know anything about German rap music. She just had to come into the room when I was listening to it, and she said it felt very noughties, basically, which is what it was. It's from 2006, so it did have that kind of clear kind of sound to it, that it's, I don't want to say outdated, but very much from that time period. As for the album itself, I would say this was one of his better albums for me, as we have reviewed quite a few of his albums. The reason for that is because, well, this is a more generalization about Kollegah rather than this particular album, but I just generally quite like his rap style. It doesn't come across as very aggressive. I'll give you an example of that when we go through each individual track. He's good at varying his rap style. We noticed it a lot in this album. He had some very kind of songs which were very fast, or even parts of songs that were fast, and then some songs which were really slow rap. So good variety. I'd say no track really stood out for me, but it was just a fairly good, solid, typical Kollegah album. You know, what you see is what you get. I understand what you're saying as well about the kind of the background sounds, which I'll talk about as well. But yeah, overall, one of the better Kollegah albums for me. Not the best. I still think that belongs to Boss Aura, but still, this is probably maybe in second place. So if you go through the tracks, first one is Intro. I just happened to hear some words that I recognized. So Schottland, I think it said, which obviously means Scotland. Krankenhaus, which means hospital. See, I was listening a little bit in my German classes at school. As for the track itself, look, pretty standard for Kollegah, really. It was smooth. It just kind of flowed quite well. And in terms of the meaning of the song, when I looked up the lyrics, I don't know, it's kind of like dissing someone's mum. Now, obviously, Brett, you talked about this a few minutes ago, that this album was kind of quite into kind of being derogatory towards women. So there you go. That's the first example of it.
Yeah, and that from opening track says it all, when I said there's the common theme for that all the way through. So when I said about sort of the background, so this one I found was quite not very rap-like. It felt quite mysterious, musical, almost like, I also put here sort of like Harry Potter kind of magical kind of sound background tune to it, which again, sort of very unusual. Okay, but we know Kollegah, he likes to put an intro track. The same, we also have an outro track as well. I think it was just a sort of nice short introduction to the album. And then, of course, as that song finishes, you get a classic gunshot sounds at the end. And we know we're in Kollegah business now. The boss is here, ready for business, as we go into the next track.
Yeah. Next track was Showtime again. We heard some really great fast rap in here. It was like, maybe you can describe this better, Brett, in a moment. It was like a sort of constant tingling sound in the background, like kind of like, not bells, but some kind of like, no, I can't explain it very well. And then there was a lion roar we heard a couple of times, which is a nice effect. Found it kind of catchy, not bad. One thing I did find interesting in the lyrics was, I didn't like this. It was, check my email inbox, fan mail from Savas again. So he must be referring to Kool Savas, who is my favorite German rapper, based on the one album that we have listened to here, that we listened to of his. And that's kind of like, sort of like taking the piss out of Kool Savas, saying like, in a way, I think like, Kool Savas kind of looks up to Kollegah, kind of, Kollegah, the greatest rapper kind of thing. I don't know. So Yeah, that line stood out for me.
Yeah. Yeah, all the same sort of things there. Again, I don't think I can explain it either. It's almost like Christmassy, like, and this is like sort of Harry Potter, like the sort of tingling kind of sparkle, magical sort of sounds. Which I said is very unrap like, and what I probably liked this album because it said if it took the lyrics and the vocals away, I could just listen to the album just on the music side of things. And yeah, good effects of the line stuff there as well. Some really good fast rapping from Kollegah. I thought maybe this album might have a lot more of that, but really we didn't see too much of his classic real fast rapping. But this song definitely in there. In terms of lyrics, there's two I put here. One of them was your team is made up of fags like a badminton team, which I thought I quite like badminton. I play a bit badminton when I can, and I didn't think it was considered that way. Maybe it is in Germany or to Kollegah. And then this one here. So, and this is something he mentions kid quite a lot in this album. So whether he's got someone in mind he's always talking to, referring to, or in general, but it's always there. So he's telling this one kid, yeah. I would be lying if I said no, I never molested an underage kid. Which is quite clever because obviously if you've got the no and never, technically has two negatives, so that technically makes it into a positive, so saying he did, but then because he's saying I would be lying if I said, so he can't, so you have no idea if he's saying the truth or not. So very clever to sort of put in with just too many negatives, and it just throws your mind out there. So yeah, quite like that.
Okay. Next one then was König Westdeutschlands. And so for this one, had an unusual sort of electronic music start, but it only lasted for about 2 seconds. And then again, that's sort of another kind of tingling sort of bell sound in the background. We heard the words bang, bang, or the sounds bang, bang quite a lot. I'm pretty sure he mentioned the Bundesliga. I wrote that down. I thought the chorus was quite clear. And it was, you know, for even non-German speakers, you can understand what he was saying. Like he was saying that he's West Germany's king, West Deutschland's king. And yeah, it wasn't bad, this one. The only thing I didn't quite get was, I took one of the lines here. Tony comes in her mouth like dentists. I didn't know that dentists come in people's mouths. So I don't so that one was lost in translation, or I'm not quite don't quite get that one. But yeah, not a bad track, I suppose.
I suppose dentists do go into people's mouths, so you could argue they're coming into someone's mouth. If there's like a little person inside the mouth, that hand would be coming into the mouth, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I also put that about the song that it felt like to me felt like a proper song. Like you can tell the repeating of the chorus, which again you do find on some of his other tracks, and it's not like he hasn't done it before, he has, but it really stood out with this one here. And yeah, really distinctive. And this is probably like the whole sort of noughties feel to it, that sort of bang bang gunshots put from there. And he makes it very clear that he's from Canada, and he said he's got fists like grizzly paws. Interesting there. Couple of lyrics I wrote here. Whore, your rap is like Braille. Only disabled people feel it. So I don't know if that's trying to be negative or not. I thought that was actually quite a nice little compliment there. How was it? And I beat people up with bottles of whiskies as a hobby. There you go. If you need to know more, that says it all in those sense there.
Okay. Yeah, lots more interesting Kollegah lyrics coming up. The next one then was Time Is Money. It's probably one of my favorite songs on the album, if not my favorite. Like I say, there wasn't really one that really stood out, but it's maybe the one that stood out the most. So it's like a sort of conversation part at the start, and then I was really impressed by this voice that came on saying time is money. I just thought that was really cool, really nice feature, and it wasn't overly repetitive as well. It only sort of came on during the chorus bit. Quite slow rap, this one. which isn't a bad thing. Just something that I noticed. Wasn't bad. And then there was another kind of little conversation going on as well, kind of towards the end. So I kind of quite like this one. This one's kind of like working a little bit outside the box, maybe not quite so typical Kollegah. You know, there's a bit more going on. And in terms of when I looked at the lyrics, kind of, I suppose, about how much money he makes. Really, it's all about money, wasn't it?
Time is money. Yeah, pretty much says it there. Yeah, so that's a robotic voice. It kind of best way to explain it is almost put here like Stephen Hawking's voice. So it has that sort of generic. If you can't speak, someone does your voice for you. So it has that kind of feel to it. And it was used quite bad. I quite like that effect in there. And I say with this one, the tune itself didn't feel too dark. So again, continuously from the start, it hasn't felt the background music too dark, which generally I prefer. So that's what I was sort of getting from there. And in terms of the lyrics, I put here, you are 11 little bitches like the women's national team. Which is that referring to the football team?
Must be.
I'm guessing so. Yeah, so just for what I've been again sort of being derogative to now a whole bunch of 11 of them in one go as well as individually. So yeah.
Next one is Mobster Music, featuring Schimmel, by the way. It was quite clear to notice that Schimmel's voice was very different to Kolleggah's. So I kind of like that variety in the rap voice, rather than just Kollegah on his own. It wasn't the best track, but it was all right. In terms of like the lyrics and the meaning, don't really know, but I took a line here. You're not a knife stabber, you're a battle rapper. So I don't know, is it kind of talking about, I didn't really get it. It's like saying that, you know, Kolleggah's a rapper. That's kind of what he does, kind of thing. Not really sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other rapper came on, I actually didn't know who it was, but I actually quite liked him when he came on. He was a little bit faster than Kollegah, and was very distinctly different, and I just thought he rapped pretty well there. I've just got to be clear, with these lyrics I'm choosing, I'm not saying these are particularly my favourite lyrics, I'm just saying the lyrics that sort of stood out and helped to explain sort of the album. So we're going to come to the next one. So taking your daughter's virginity, she only does aerobics for so long as possible in the training halls. I take her as many times as I can in the red light for care needs. So again, just being clear, he's just showing his appreciation of the women in this album once again.
Okay. Next up was Boss Der Bosse. So this was the name of the album, is the track as well. So I think it had the most views as well when I was getting the lyrics on whatever the website was. So I think this was like the main track of the album. Relatively fast rap. I say relatively, like it wasn't like super fast as Kollegah can do. So he can sort of, he has different speeds. Kind of like sort of classical music backgrounds on repeat. I just felt with this one, it felt like that his fast rapping didn't match the slow music. It kind of like something didn't quite feel right about it. Didn't quite go together. But again, it was okay. I didn't mind it. And in terms of the meaning, I don't know, just the usual gangster stuff.
Yeah, so again, I was put that sort of the classical music in the background, which again I quite like, and we've always liked about Kollegah because he will put these different styles in place. Also put a note here, there was one of the other tracks that did have some fast rapping. As you said, they're not Kolleggah's super fast rapping, but just good tempo fast rap there. I couldn't really remember, but I can sort of imagine what he's saying. I can imagine, yeah, sort of how the fast rapping and maybe the background music didn't quite go well with this one. So I do get that. And in terms of the lyrics, I've sort of taken what was sort of the chorus here. So rappers look at me, rappers look away, rappers like a tone in the Mac. You are all mother's sons. Kind of come and make your mother's son. So he's almost trying to say that we're all I don't really know really what he's trying to say, but I feel like he's trying to be complimentary, but also not complimentary at the same time. If that makes sense. It's sort of a bit not contradicting, that's probably not the right word, but it's almost mixed opinions, mixed views, what he's trying to say and do.
Yeah, I didn't get that. So next one then is by Sonnenuntergang. Wasn't as keen on this one as all the previous tracks, really. I just didn't think it was as interesting as the other tracks. Just didn't really have much to say about it. And in terms of the meaning, it was obviously about what I saw there: drugs and violence, the usual.
Yeah, pretty much there. I didn't mind the background tune for this one. Again, it's probably now starting to feel a little repetitive in some regards. The lyric I picked out here, and your wife likes to go out in the evening until she is sperm stained like a truck driver's sweatshirt. Again, like I said, these are not necessarily my favorite lyrics on the bit. I said it just to get
but they're pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought that was Vic sort of what I was trying to say in that one there. But yeah, there we go. Good old Kollegah.
Yeah, not the sort of stuff you'd want your mum to listen to, or your grandma, or well, they might be able to listen to it, but they wouldn't understand it. You
wouldn't want your German mother to listen to it.
Yeah, you want your German. Okay, next one is Du weinst Tränen. So kind of nothing really stood out too much for me in this one, although I did then kind of notice it had a sort of slightly American hip hop feel to it, sort of a few kind of American sounding voices in the background. And the name of the song, Du weinst Tränen, was very repetitive, which when I did the translation, I found out it meant like I can't remember it, something about crying, that you're crying.
Yeah, you cry tears.
Yeah, you cry tears. That's it. So, and the meaning I took from it was basically everyone's crying because Kollegah's just so cool. Everyone kind of is so envious of him, and he's just so amazing. We're all crying.
Yeah, again, very standard Kollegah there. Yeah, I can't say much more than that. I'm just going to say the lyric here. You come in baggy pants, I come in Cadillacs, Jeeps, and watch TV in a presidential suite. And again, that's just Kollegah showing how awesome and how much better he is than everyone else.
Yeah. The next one's an interesting one. This was, oh no, not this. Well, hang on, what have we got? So I think this is King of Coke.
Yeah.
Quite fast rap. Again, like I say, I use the word quite, as in not his super fast rap, but just fast. Pretty standard Kollegah, not bad. It was quite a short one as well. And there's an interesting line here. I don't know if you've taken the same one. Motherfucker, see the king is back, and your gang has extra roles on a gay porn set. Really sort of dissing. I don't know, whoever it is he's dissing, saying, you know, like that. So interesting line.
No, I didn't say that one, but I do remember seeing that one there. And again, you've heard the title like King of Coke being sort of drug heavy, but again, yeah, you still got this sort of mystical, magical, sort of twinkling sounds to the background music, which again, like I said, if you were listening to the first time and didn't know the lyrics, you wouldn't necessarily put the two and two together. I've got two lines here. Your mum has pimped more bumps than West Coast Customs. So obviously fixing all their cars and stuff, and she even goes out and sucks cock in the rain in the bright lights of the bus stop, so showing her commitment that even in the rain she would go out and suck cock. So yeah,
fair play.
But fair play.
The next one then is Rauch featuring Slick One. So the track was going, and I was still waiting for Slick One. It was all Kollegah up to that point, but then eventually he did turn up about halfway through, and I thought that he had a more aggressive rap style. Whereas Kollegah's style, not just in this song, but as I was talking about at the beginning in general, he feels more laid back when he raps, and I prefer that. It doesn't, like you see with like modern day Kollegah, how he wears like maybe a suit and he's got this kind of whole kind of sort of almost like posh thing going on, like his big manner and stuff. His style of rap is quite, he's like a sort of connoisseur of rap rather than that sort of shouty rap, which I'm not keen on. So credit to Kollegah for that. And in terms of the lyrics, so it's about drugs and about bowing down to the king.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think when we first listened to Kollegah, that's before we were looking to the lyrics and we just listened to the music side of things. That he was a sort of more relaxed sort of approach, and he wasn't shouty. And then it wasn't until we started looking at the lyrics and go, oh yeah, actually, what he talks about is actually very, very dark indeed. But you wouldn't know that without knowing beforehand. I think for his style there, the guy who came on, actually. I agree. I don't normally like the shouty very one there. I think it depends what they're rapping about and what the message is trying to cross. I don't mind it so much. I think here in this song, it actually worked quite well. They contrast each other pretty good in this song, so I quite liked it there. Now, written this lyric, which I think was probably my favorite lyric overall, really. And because I didn't know where it was in the song, I don't know if this was Kollegah or the other rapper. I think it's probably the other rapper. It says here, why did I squander quick money on hoes and cars instead of buying flowers for my mum? It was very nice, or very synthetic sort of line from there, really. It shows it's more sort of a different side to Kollegah or this rapper in a different way. So, yeah, don't squander money, spend some money on your mum instead of all these hoes.
Okay. Next one then is, ich geb kein fuck. I actually understood that without having to translate it. Just kind of use my logic. It just means I don't give a fuck. I didn't really write much about anything about the actual song itself. It was just typical Kollegah. Nothing really stood out for me. But one thing that did stand out for me was when I looked at the lyrics, which I found quite interesting and disturbing as well. Hey, I don't give a fuck, or I also beat women like my Algerian stepfather. Now, we know that he has really got an Algerian stepfather. That's not made up. So is he saying that his Algerian stepfather beats women, and then Kollegah's saying he does it as well? So is that made up? Is that his kind of persona? Or like, if it's, I don't understand why he would say that, like if it wasn't true. So I don't know.
Yeah. He should have tried to do his double negative line, and then it would be a bit more mysterious there. And I didn't know if he was putting that because he's saying he's doing it because potentially his stepfather. He's not even saying if that's the case there, but it's the line also put there. I've also put a couple of others here. I put, and now you sort of walk. I can't remember what the line before was though, but it was mentioned that you now walk crooked, like Quasimodo, who's obviously the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It was a good reference there. And this one here, sold more 100-gram plates than the Milka group. Now, I was hoping that the Milk group was the chocolate bar. We don't get them here in the UK. They're like in a purple wrapper. Normally, when you go abroad, they're absolutely everywhere. You get lots of different flavours. But in the UK, we don't really get them. So I just wondered if it was referring to that there. And if so, I thought it was a bit more interesting from there.
Okay. After that, we had Was guckst du? This one felt quite intense, unlike most of the others. Quite fast rap again. Again, emphasis on the word quite. Bitch was said a lot. I was liking the fast, intense chorus with sort of almost like voices overlapping. A bit difficult to explain, but it was a very sort of intense chorus. I mean, it was quite happening. It was quite good. Not a bad one, this. And yeah, some really fast rap at times as well. So one of the better songs on the album for me, this one. And in terms of the meaning, again, the usual about bitches and stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah, shock. So title, yeah, what you're looking at. And yeah, it definitely had that bit more sort of, like before, I've been saying like the music's been quite musical, mysterious, magical kind of thing. This felt a bit more rapping, and definitely I like the word sort of intense there. it's hard to explain the sort of different voices that come in as effects I've not heard anything before. Whereas, yeah, it's almost the same voice being repeated a number of different times, overlapping just a little bit later than the others. So it felt like lots of different people from there. And then the lyric I wrote here, you will even be smiled at. You will even be smiled by the ugliest bitch, like the Mona Lisa.
Okay. The next one then was Fick Dein Fame, or Fama, maybe in German, featuring Youngstar. So also quite intense. It was all right. But for me, the line that really sort of took my attention was, gays say they have rhythm in their blood. Me too. I beat them to puddles of blood to the rhythm. So quite disturbing lyric. And I wonder, because this was done in 2006. So like, I wonder if they could get away with that, like now, especially like in the West, in Germany, where they've got all this like, you know, LGBT laws and stuff. Like, it seems like quite strange, like to hear, like to sort of read those sort of lyrics in this day and age. So yeah, I just wonder if that's something that they don't do anymore. Would they be able to get away with that? I have read a lot about Kollegah. It talks about his sort of homophobia and stuff when in his lyrics. So yeah, interesting one.
Yeah, so that's what I said at the start for this album. Yeah, very directed to women and gays around that sort of line I was going to talk about there as well. I think you explained it pretty well. Going back to the song itself, at the time, this was sort of the best so far because it felt almost less like a rap song. It could have been more like a pop song. Again, we had sort of distinctive chorus, and again, it didn't feel dark. It felt, again, actually quite noughties and quite German pop sort of feel, which was thought was quite unusual. But then when you look into the lyrics, it's like it takes the whole feeling away from the song. So I had that line, and also here. It's when I come into the I come here to swallow dancers in the club, do more E than a letter soup eater. Which again, I thought was quite clever playing words there as well. There's also a mention of wearing like a blood dreaded headband and them looking like Little Red Riding Hood. So it's probably those gays he probably beaten up really, yeah. And now saying they look like Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay, next one was Image the Pimps featuring Sarah too. So we had Sarah with some singing. This was a completely different sort of track to the others because this is more my sort of thing usually, you know, where you've got the male rapper and the woman coming in doing the singing. The only thing I'd say with this one, I felt the production of it felt a bit cheap. It sort of had an amateur feel to it. I'm specifically referring to the woman singing. The voice didn't seem that clear to hear. It was just a bit weird. I don't know if it was done like that on purpose or what. But it was still nice to have the sort of variety of rap and the woman singing. It was almost like the music, the actual background music was sort of like crystals shining, shiny crystals, and that kind of sound to it. So an interesting one for sure. And in terms of what the song was about, it was about just Kollegah driving around, enjoying his day in his car, pretty much.
I'm glad you said, because for some reason I couldn't get the full lyrics properly up with this one. For some reason, the lyrics from the previous song kept coming up for this one as well for some strange reason. But for the song itself, yeah, I actually quite like this one. Again, I probably need to listen back to try and get what you're saying about it's feeling a bit less production to it. But I liked Sarah. I liked her singing in it. And again, it felt like almost like a proper song you could listen to. And that's why I said at the start of the album, I could listen to this without thinking of the lyrics, without the words, and just listen to it as an album of tunes. So I thought quite like that with her singing there. And it brings a nice change to the album. But again, probably, and I said I put here, obviously I don't know what the lyrics here, but I can imagine the lyrics don't reflect how I'm feeling about the song. And that probably sums up with your sort of explanation from it as well. Next
one was Sommer, I think. I think that probably means summer in German.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so we have listened to the previous Kollegah album about something about that, where he's driving around walking around in the city with the sun, and he's under the sun, and he's giving out candy to the kids. So I kind of thought the lyrics were going to be about that. We'll talk about that in a moment. Right? As for the song itself, it's a strange one. It sounded like he was rapping in a factory because of like this strange background sound. It sounded like a sort of machine in the background, like it was in a factory. Typical Kollegah, but not bad. And as for the lyrics, as I just mentioned there, it wasn't quite what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be like sort of an upbeat song in terms of the lyrics about the summer, how it's hot outside, as I said earlier, going around and enjoying stuff. But it kind of had a darker sort of meaning, not in the way you use the word dark, but dark in the sense of more kind of negative feel to it. So more like life. The line I took: "Life is not a gift; it is a test. It's grey life." So it's more about kind of the difficulties of life, I suppose. That kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah, and that's sort of similar to the lyric I'm going to talk about here. But yeah, I also mentioned about previously he did a song. I can't remember. Was it called like 32 Degrees? Was that something along those lines?
Oh, yeah,
about
yeah.
the temperature. And yeah, so we talked about and joked about, yeah, because you don't really associate, nice hot summer day, being in the park, and you think of, drug dealing and all this crime, and it's always dark, miserable, nighttime, never like a nice summer's day. So I also got the same thing there. He did talk about making lots of money on drugs and stuff in this sort of summer experience. He talks about the summer of 2002. I remember it like yesterday. Made 7K a month. Before I became a rapper.
Exactly, that was before he started his rap career. I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise he said it's almost had a darker feel, like the lyrics here, like, so to enter heaven, you've got to fight against the devil. Until that day, I die, and it's summer. So yeah, so that underlying dark feeling. And then another sort of random lyric here. The only people you can trust, the only people who will stab you in the back, the hose that will stab you into the back, like a coin in a piggy bank. And again, good sort of word association. And like I said, it almost poetry-like in terms of getting the meaning across and trying to explain it based on, everyday things. So clever from Kollegah.
And the last one was Outro. So had a sort of dramatic background music feel to it. It was obviously very short, as the outro, but it was just sort of a short rap about fucking women, etc. I found it a strange outro just because, like, it didn't really relate to an outro as such. It was just a typical kind of Kollegah song, rap song, but just a shortened version of it. So I didn't quite get the kind of like the meaning of it. Like, why would you have this as an outro kind of thing? But yeah, it's just typical, really, Kollegah.
Yeah, like I said, he likes a little outro track, and like I said, one of my favorite songs of Kollegah has been one of the outro tracks where it's almost taken away from the album. It's something a bit different, a bit more, I wouldn't say light-hearted, but it's always been a bit different, almost bringing an ending to it, which this kind of did because it was shorter. And again, unfortunately, because it's called outro, I had struggled to get the lyrics properly because it's got lots of songs with outro and stuff, so I struggled to find it. But I kind of got the feeling it was trying to end the album, but based on what you're saying, that actually not in the same way as he's done with his other tracks.
Yeah, so if we're going to sum up, Brett, what would you say?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much similar to what I said from the start, that, taking the lyrics and the wording away as an album for the tunes itself, quite enjoyable. I could easily listen to that again. As we know, it is very, very Kollegah. As long as you don't take the lyrics too seriously or too personally, too much, then just take it for what it is. Otherwise, I said it's very dark in the sense of, like I said, abuse to women and to gays, instead from the start, which, again, I don't really want to listen to songs about that, really. It doesn't really do that for me. But again, this is classic Kollegah, and I think out of all the ones we've listened to, it would be one I would listen more to, but I said not for the words or for the lyrics as such. But that's not taken away again from Kollegah what he does and how he does it, because I still think it's really good. It's just not what I want to listen to or really get appreciation from it.
Yeah, I mean, the lyrics are obviously disturbing, but as I think you were trying to explain there, he still does well, like with the way he creates the lyrics, like the rhymes that he has, and like you know what I mean, the way it all works, it flows together. So yeah, I think if I kind of like don't think about the lyrics, not that I understand them anyway, unless I translate, but the actual kind of music itself, the way the rap went, the background sounds, and just the style in general, it was it wasn't bad. This one, as I said earlier, probably my second favorite Kollegah album. Still think that Boss Der one is definitely the best. But yeah, you know what you get with Kollegah. I think there's not too much variety in what he does, really. So he's, I keep saying it every time, he's obviously very talented. But yeah, the lyrics are obviously disturbing. Some people obviously are going to be offended by it. I'm going to like it. But it is what it is. So yeah, not bad at all. So thanks for the request. If you have another request for any album, doesn't matter what album it is, what genre of music, what language, let us know in the comment section below, and we will probably go ahead and listen to it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again for the next one. Tschüss.